Hey there, deep diving friend. Today, we're going to take a trip into the world of AI efficiency.
Oh, cool.
We're talking about those large language models, LLMs, the brains behind your favorite chatbots and AI writing tools.
Right.
You always hear bigger is better with AI, right?
hmm
More data, bigger models, more computing power.
It's been the prevailing assumption for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, but what if there's a smarter way? We're diving into a research paper that asks, what if instead of just focusing on size, we found ways to make AI use its existing computing power way more effectively,
Yeah, that's a great question.
like more strategically?
The paper is titled Scaling LLM Test Time Compute Optimally Can Be More Effective Than Scaling Model Parameters. Essentially, they're saying that finding ways to optimize how AI uses compute power, especially when it's actively working on a problem, could be more impactful than simply making those models bigger.
So it's like the difference between having a huge library of information versus knowing exactly which book to pull off the shelf and how to find the key insights within it.
Yeah,
It's about making AI more strategic about how it uses what it knows.
exactly. And the researchers really wanted to test this idea, so they focus on two core strategies to make LMs more compute optimal.
Compute optimal.
A fancy way of saying they want the AI to use its brain power efficiently.
Okay, let's unpack those strategies. What's the first approach?
The first strategy is all about better verification. Instead of the AI just spitting out a final answer and hoping for the best, they trained it to break problems down, solve them step by step, and check its work along the way.
So it's like building in a self-check mechanism. Instead of just relying on brute force calculation, the AI is encouraged to pause, reflect, and make sure it's on the right track at each stage. I can see how that would lead to fewer errors and more accurate results.
Precisely, they essentially trained the LLM to be its own tutor in a way. The second strategy focuses on something we all probably wish we did more of: revision.
Ooh, this AI is about to put my writing process to shame, isn't it? Tell me it at least struggles with writer's block sometimes.
Well, that we don't know, but they essentially train the model to review and refine its own work multiple times, much like a student would revise a paper before submitting it.
Interesting. So instead of just settling for the first answer it comes up with, this AI is learning to question its own assumptions, go back over its work, and look for ways to improve. I can see how that would be a powerful way to get more accurate and nuanced results.
It is. Think of it this way. Sometimes you can solve a problem on the first try, but often the best solutions come from going back to the drawing board, reevaluating your approach, and iterating until you find the most elegant solution. That's what they were trying to achieve with this revision strategy.
I love that the AI equivalent of sleeping on a problem and coming back to it with fresh eyes. But we're not just talking about making the AI better at problem solving in general, right? There's this whole compute optimal aspect we need to factor in.
You're right, it's not just about making the AI smarter, it's about making it efficient. They wanted to see if they could achieve these improvements without just throwing more computing power at the problem.
Because at the end of the day, we want AI that's not only powerful, but also sustainable. Using massive amounts of computing power for every little task just isn't feasible in the long run.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting,
Hmm.
because they actually found a way to make the AI strategically allocate computing power based on the difficulty of the task at hand.
So the AI is basically learning to budget its own brain power.
That's fascinating. Did it actually work, though? Were they able to make the AI more accurate without just resorting to bigger, more computationally expensive models?
The results were really impressive. Yeah, they tested these strategies by having the LLM tackle a series of challenging math problems.
And get this, by using these techniques,
Mhm.
they were actually able to match or even surpass the performance of models 14 times larger while using significantly less computing power.
Hold on. They achieved comparable or even better results with an AI that's a fraction of the size. That's incredible.
Yeah, it really challenges that assumption that bigger is always better in the world of AI.
It really does.
By focusing on these strategies, they essentially found a way to get more bang for their buck in terms of both accuracy and efficiency.
More bang for your buck. I like
Mm.
that. It really highlights how important it is to focus on making AI smarter about how it uses resources, not just throwing more processing power at a problem and hoping for the best. But when it came to those two strategies, verification and revision, did the researchers find that one consistently outperformed the other? Or did it vary?
That's where the compute optimal part gets really interesting. It turned out that the most effective strategy often depended on the type of problem the AI was facing.
So it's like any good problem-solving approach, sometimes you need to double-check your work, and sometimes you need to completely rethink your approach. What did they observe?
For the easier problems, they found that Emphasizing revisions, having the LLM go back and refine its own work, was the most efficient approach. It's like when you have a decent grasp of a concept but need to fine-tune your understanding.
Right.
However, for the really challenging problems, the ones that require more creative problem solving, a more strategic verifier-driven approach was much more effective.
So for those tougher problems, it was more beneficial to guide the AI's thought process step by step, ensuring it didn't go down any dead ends or make logical missteps.
Precisely. It's almost like providing the AI with a more hands-on tutor to guide its exploration of the problem, helping it stay on track and avoid those computational rabbit holes.
This is all incredibly promising, but let's bring it back down to earth for a moment. What's the real-world significance of all this? Why should our listeners care about AI becoming more efficient at solving math problems?
Because it suggests a potential paradigm shift in how we develop and deploy AI as a whole. For a long time, the focus has been on building bigger and bigger models under the assumption that more parameters equals more intelligence. But this research suggests a compelling alternative. Perhaps we can achieve the same or even better performance with smaller, more efficient models that are trained to use their resources more strategically.
It's like the difference between amassing a vast library of information and developing the ability to navigate that information, effectively extracting precisely what you need when you need it.
Exactly. Instead of just focusing on how much information we can cram into an AI, it might be more beneficial to focus on cultivating its ability to process that information intelligently and efficiently.
And that shift could have huge implications for accessibility and the environmental impact of AI, right? After all, training these massive models requires an incredible amount of energy.
Absolutely. If we can achieve comparable or even superior performance with smaller models that utilize computing power more strategically, it's a win-win for both the environment and for making AI technology more widely accessible. It could democratize access to powerful AI tools.
It's like we've been so focused on building the biggest, most powerful engine that we forgot to consider the importance of fuel efficiency and streamlined design. This research is making me rethink my whole understanding of AI.
It's a fascinating area of exploration, and it challenges some of the fundamental assumptions we've had about AI. What's even more interesting is that the researchers believe this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg. Okay, now you've really piqued my curiosity. What else do they think this research could unlock?
Well, they hinted that this work could eventually lead towards AI that can self-improve in a more general sense, not just becoming more efficient at specific tasks, but actually learning how to learn more effectively on its own.
That's a pretty mind-blowing concept. So instead of us constantly needing to feed it more data or tweak its parameters, we're talking about AI that could potentially take over some of that optimization work itself.
That's the long-term vision.
Hmm.
Of course, we're still a ways away from AI that can fully self-improve the way humans do, but this research suggests that it might not be as far-fetched as we once thought. And it really makes you ponder some interesting philosophical questions, too.
I'm game. Lay some AI philosophy on me.
Well, if we can teach AI to be more compute optimal, to use its resources strategically and efficiently, it makes you wonder, could we learn a thing or two from these strategies ourselves?
You're right. It makes you think about all the times we spin our wheels on a problem, get caught up in distractions, or just fail to allocate our mental energy effectively.
Exactly. What if we could borrow a page from these AI strategies and become more compute optimal thinkers in our own lives? Could we unlock new levels of productivity, creativity, or insight by being more strategic about how we allocate our mental resources?
It's a powerful thought. It's like this exploration into AI efficiency has given us a new framework for thinking about our own cognitive processes.
And that's what I find so captivating about this field. It's not just about building smarter machines. It's about using them to deepen our understanding of intelligence itself. And who knows, maybe even learn a thing or two about ourselves along the way.
Well said. A huge thank you to our expert for guiding us on this incredible deep dive into the world of compute optimal AI. And to all of you deep diving with us, remember to keep those minds curious and those questions coming. So until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep your minds open to the amazing possibilities out there.